Sorry about that. I had to take a quick break. It was getting a little intense for a second there. I wanted to talk more about what was going on between myself, but when I talk about myself, it's hard talking about me and not including a lot of other people because you're never really sure what you want to put out there on the internet. So I'm going to stick with talking about my kid because there are things that are going on with me right now that I'm not sure are real or fake. So I'm doing my best to just keep keep my mind about me and just concentrate on number one, which is myself and my son. He's included in that number one because he's part of me. There's so many struggles that I go through on a daily basis with him. Eating is only one of them. Diaper changes. He kicks. He bucks. He bites me. He doesn't want me to put his pants on. He doesn't want me to put his diaper on. So he runs around naked. There's just so much that I go through on a day-to-day basis, and I know a lot of ASD parents. I'm not the only one out here dealing with this. I'm single. I'm not the only single parent that happens to have a kid that is autistic. I know there are other single parents out there, and I genuinely hope that they're doing a better, not a better um, job of what I'm doing because I think I'm doing a great job. It's more of being able to keep up with him and then keeping up with my own mental incapacities. It's a struggle. It's a 24/7 struggle and I deal with it on a regular basis. I love my son with more than anything in this world. Like I don't think even the Rockefeller, the Rothschilds, their fortune couldn't surmount how much I love my son. I love him beyond words, and he's amazing. He's the cutest little guy. He wants to play, he wants to talk, he wants to communicate. And the remote learning, basically what happened to me is I think my mental break started when the remote learning went away. Or I mean when remote learning was implemented opposed to my son was in birth 3, so he had beacon services for a while. The beacon services, once the pandemic started, they switched over to the computer. So everything was done remote. And for a kid that already has issues with, just being, he is verbal, but any kind of kid with a disability, I just think remote learning isn't smart for them because I don't think he benefited from it very much at all. He loved seeing his teachers, he loved being in person with them, he loved having that interaction with them, and then still checking back in with mom. But then when they switched everything to the computer, it threw me off. It threw me off, it threw him off, and then he wasn't willing to do it. So he backslid a lot throughout. I believe remote learning started probably around April. So from April until July, when he turned 3, he had to do all this stuff 5 days a week on a computer. And the bottom line is he didn't want to sit in front of a computer. He didn't want to do any of that because he's already a kid that has a learning disability to begin with. He already has a short attention span. He's only 3, for crying out loud. So to expect a 3-year-old to sit in front of a computer and listen to a woman that's barking orders at him, good luck. I'm not in front of a computer. I bark orders at him all day and he doesn't listen to me. So for somebody to do it on a computer, it really didn't make any sense to me. And I know I'm not the only parent who feels this way. Kids with disabilities, they just benefit most from being able to see your face, being able to see your expression. So having the mask on, not being able to see that part of your face, it made a difference when it came to my son and his learning and what was going on outside in the world because he didn't understand why everybody was wearing these silly masks. He went from being able to see smiles to not being able to see anything, barely even having people talk to him because he didn't wear a mask. My son, he's the sweetest boy on the face of this planet, and it really broke my heart to watch him backslide the way he did. And I did my very best to keep it from happening. But I'm at a loss because as a parent, what do? I don't really know what to do. I don't have a curriculum set up for him. I'm not exactly sure where his milestones are. I'm not exactly sure how to deal with certain things. So it was hard for me picking up the pieces. When Beacon Services left because of the pandemic, it was hard for me to be able to find a way to pick up the pieces after them. So I just kind of did the best I could, and now here we are. Mommy has a bit of a mental break. I don't have any help. It's just me. I have my father, but my father works 7 days a week, so it's hard for him to give me a break when he comes home. I have my family, but my family, they're all very frustrated with me right now because I don't understand what I'm going through. Doesn't make any sense, right? Like, how do you not understand what you're going through? But everything still seems like, is it real? Is it not real? So for me to be going through that struggle, and then on top of everything, is I think it's an emotional overload even just for my family, because they don't understand what's real and what's not real either, just as much as I don't. I was just thankful to get invited to Thanksgiving or to Christmas Eve, to be honest, because I was really worried I wasn't going to be invited. And luckily for me, I get to wear my brand new Christmas sweater. It happens to be Darth Vader, and it says Merry Sithmas. Ha ha ha. I don't know why, but I'm really into like Star Wars right now. I think a lot of it has to do with The Mandalorian. I love that show. I'm huge into like Drag Race and stuff also, and since once Drag Race starts, I'm sure my videos will be more of that. But for now, it's still Darth Vader. Darth Vader is what we're into, and my little man looks like Anakin. He looks like a mini Anakin. And then because he's ASD, I consider him a Jedi. He's my Jedi Knight. And you know, I think it's funny because I think all of this stuff is funny, but because I have bipolar 1 disorder, everybody seems to think that I really think my kid is a Jedi, or I really think my kid is Darth Vader, but that's not true. I just think it's funny. It's funny in an ironic sense because like I've never really watched those movies before. I've never really watched Star Wars. So what was it about like the current atmosphere that made me want to watch it? I don't know. Maybe because there's nothing else to do. So I watched Star Wars, I watched all the movies, and I'm in love. I'm like a brand new fan, even though, like, you know, that they've been around for years. So this year I decided to keep my theme like the Grinch and Darth Vader. So I'm really excited to wear my Darth Vader um, sweater for Christmas Eve. It's just literally just a big picture of Darth Vader, and then it says Merry Sithmas on the back. I guarantee there's like 1,000 people out there that have the same sweater, and they're like, oh my god, that's fucking, I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm really excited about Drag Race too. I know like how do you go from one to the other, but something about getting lost in television is something that I've done on a regular basis. Ever since I was a kid, I've always gotten lost in storylines. I've always gotten lost. I've always had a really strong imagination. So being able to watch these really cool movies on TV, they were always a way for me to expand my imagination that much more. Even when I was a kid, I would play and play and play, and I would never want to go to bed because the storyline in my head was so good that I wanted to see what was going to happen next. But it was a storyline I was making up in my own head. And that's what makes me think that everything that happened recently is all even more just a big storyline I made up in my head, because for months there I was like, I want to see what's going to happen next. And nothing was happening next. And why was nothing happening next? Because because nothing was really happening in real life. That's where I lost myself a little bit. Is I blurred the line between real life and what was going on inside my head. I try to keep it normal now. It's like the movie A Beautiful Mind. The doctor or the professor realizes he's sick and that these delusions aren't real. And he knows that they're going to be there. He's going to live with them, but he's going to choose to ignore them. That's kind of where I am right now. I know I have these delusions. I know I have these two other entities attached to me, like one that happens to be a party girl and one that happens to be someone who is super lost. They don't need names. They're just there, and I'm choosing to ignore them. It's not easy. It's not easy most days, especially with a kid that has ASD, because it's hard for me to not want to backslide a little bit and just like go back into my own world where it's peaceful. Um, but I have no choice. I have to keep my head on straight and I have to keep moving forward. So I do my very best, meditation, yoga, all of that definitely helps. But the biggest thing that helps is this, this right here. Just being able to sit down and talk and get everything out to even somebody who may not even be listening. I don't even know if somebody out there is listening. I hope somebody's listening. And I hope somebody listens to my story and they say, you know what, I have the same problems with my toddler. Let me reach out to her. I want to give a big shout out too to Diana and Roma. They are amazing. Those kids, they all they do is play. Well, I'm sure they're older now, so I'm sure they do a lot more than just play. But when they were, on YouTube, my son loves them. He watches them all day long, and it's because of them that he does, character play and, just making up scenarios, things like that. I can tell that they help shape my son's imagination. So, Diana and Roma, thank you. Because those are the kinds of videos that I'm talking about. Like, if you were to replace a disabled child's learning environment from the teacher to just like those silly little videos, they might actually get somewhere, because those silly videos are literally what my son mocks all day long. And, I hear, I'm okay, and then I hear it on his video, I'm okay. I love that my son is able to put those puzzle pieces together, that like when something happens, that's what you say. I'm okay. I'm okay. But if it wasn't for those videos, I don't know how far he would have gotten. People say like you don't want to stick your kid in front of a screen, and you're right. Sticking him in front of a screen is definitely not good, but it does have some benefits, and the biggest benefit is that my son copies what he sees when it comes to good things and the kids playing and, you know, interacting and how they interact with each other. And that's what I want my son to pick up. I want him to know, like, when you want to play, Rachel, you go over and you say, can you play with me? Opposed to him grabbing my hand, yanking me towards wherever, and then pulling me until I figure it out. It's easier just saying, come play kitchen with me. Okay, let's go play kitchen. And we'll sit and we'll play. But he wouldn't know any of that. He wouldn't know how to even, make up those crazy scenarios. His imagination has been shaped by the kids that he sees on his YouTube videos. So in that sense, YouTube has been so helpful. Thank you. My kid knows how to play and has an imagination thanks to a lot of the kids that do these silly videos online. It's also kind of what inspired me to make a video, because I just have so much going on inside of my own head. It would be nice to talk to somebody, and somebody that doesn't have a licensed therapy, whatever, a licensed therapy. I'd rather talk to somebody who is an ASD parent and understands, like, you're right, my kid doesn't eat very much either. I can put like a whole buffet in front of him and he won't touch a thing. It's okay, because when they are hungry, they will eat. Just that reassurance is, I don't know how to explain it, but it's worth its weight in gold. And if it doesn't have weight, then it should weigh like 1,000 billion pounds, because that reassurance really is everything. Totally everything. I feel like I've talked a lot today, so I'm going to cut the rest of it short. Please, if you like my video, like it, subscribe. I don't expect a lot of people to watch these videos, but I hope that they do, and I hope that it helps. I hope that any other ASD parent out there will see, you are not alone. My kid doesn't eat either. Thank you. We'll save the rest for tomorrow. Bye-bye, YouTube.